Hello again, friends. Welcome back to the Adventures of Blink. I am, of course, Blink, and you can find me on GitHub right here. Now, last week, we started playing with GPT for All. This is a free open source application that allows you to load various models and connect them with data sets and experiment and just have some fun locally, right? You can build all this on your laptop without even needing an internet connection once you've got the downloads complete. But that's one thing, right? You're playing in a sandboxed environment. It's all sort of protected and built out for you. There's not a lot of flexibility with that. What if we wanted to do something a little wilder and start experimenting with writing our own code that interacted with the model? We're going to build a simple chat interface to our large language model. Let's go get started, shall we? All right, so here we have an empty environment. I've set up just a basic folder. I called it Llama, and it has nothing in it at the moment, so we're going to build all of this from scratch. The first thing I'm going to do is create my main file. So I'm just going to do a main.py there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, I've become very partial to using virtual environments. I find that they're just easy to clean up afterward. They make it simple to compartmentalize things. I don't get any risk with my Python environment of installing too much junk that interferes with each other. It just makes everything more pleasant for me as a developer. So I'm going to do that. If you've never done virtual environments, I'll walk you through this kind of slow just so hopefully you can pick up on the basics. It's not something I'm going to go into detail with, but just so you're aware, virtual environments are where it's at. So I'm going to call Python, and I'm going to load the virtual environment module, and I'm just going to call it .venv. All right, and then the next thing you have to do is activate it. So once you do that, you are now in a virtual environment and we're ready to go. Okay, so now that we've created the virtual environment, the next thing we need to do is go on ahead and install the stuff we need. So I'm going to do a pip install GPT for all. And we'll let that run for a moment. While it's, oh, well, that was fast. Because I'm in a virtual environment, my pip is out of date. So just because I hate getting extra messages like this, I'm going to go on ahead and let it upgrade pip. There we go. Now, the first thing for our program, in order to interact with the model, I need to pull in the GPT for all library that I just used. So GPT for all, import GPT for all. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is declare which model I want to use. So in this case, I'm going to do GPT for all, and I'm going to get Orca. Orca is one of the free miniature models that you can download for your system to use. Let's see here, Q4 0.gguf. There we go. All right. And the next thing we need to do, oh, you know what? There's another parameter in that. And I need to do allow underscore download equals false. All right, now that's all it takes to actually get the model to be part of our Python program. So from here on out, I'm starting to configure what we've requested. So the next thing I'm going to do is declare a system prompt. Now, if you've done anything with large language models, you've seen system prompts. They're usually those statements that people come in and they say, okay, I've got this model and I'm going to say, hey, GPT, I want you to, and then they start to tell it a story so that they can get it to understand the context of what they're trying to achieve. So it might be something like, "You're my personal assistant," or in last week's episode, I actually did, "You are the author of this document," which was actually me. So anything like that, that you're telling the system how it should behave for the course of the entire session, that's what goes in a system prompt. So in here, we're going to start with the 3 hashes and type system. And this allows GPT to know that system is sort of a keyword. It's looking for this this opening, and that tells it how to treat the text that's coming in, so that when we feed all of this text to the model, it doesn't just see a blob of stuff. It's able to start parsing it into pieces that it should understand. So right after the new line, I'm going to do, "You are an AI assistant that follows instructions very well. Help as much as you can." Okay, and then I'm going to put 2 new lines so that it can separate that stuff out, and that creates our system prompt variable. Now the next thing we need to create is something called a prompt template. The prompt template is more of that, like with the triple hashes, where we're going to tell GPT how to interpret the text that's coming in. So it's going to see hash, triple hash, user, colon, new line, and then we're going to have a message in 0. So we declare that there's going to be placeholder text there. And then we're going to have 2 new lines, and then we're going to have 3 hashes with a response and another new line to let it know that that's the end of that text. So at this point, it knows that it's putting its response in this place in the conversation. What we're giving it is sort of the nugget of the back and forth between me and the computer, and then me and the computer. So now it understands sort of the intent of our conversation. Okay, so now we've got all our preliminary stuff ready. It's time to start actually making the model do things. So we're going to start by saying with model.chat_session. And in this chat session, we're going to pass in system prompt, and we're going to pass in prompt template. Okay, now this with statement tells the model to maintain history and like memory, so to speak, of everything that happens within the block. So as long as we stay inside of this with block, we're going to be able to remember things that happened previously in the chat and interact with those data points, so that the model will have context for the entire conversation rather than just a one statement thing. So we could have started with a very simple statement that just says, "Here's some text, process it and give me a response." But that would be boring. So what we want to do is build a loop inside of the with statement, and that's going to allow the conversation to keep going until we're done conversing. It gives it that conversational back and forth sort of feel. So inside of the with, I'm going to do while true. We make an infinite loop, and the only way out of this infinite loop is if the user input, which we need to capture real quick. So we do that, and you can see I'm using the same structure as what was used in the prompt template, and that way it knows what text is on the screen, like it's reading the input, and it understands how this works. So it's grabbing the whole stream. Okay, but once we've gathered that input, the way out of the loop is if the user says quit. And we're going to check the lowercase on that just to make sure, and then that's going to break. Else, we're going to do a print, and I'm going to use an F string here so that I can interact with it, and I'm going to do, inside of this, what we're actually going to do is model.generate, and we're going to do user input as the input to that. And then after the inputs, we do the 2 new lines because that's how it's expecting to see it. So right here with the 0, this is the data that's going to be put in here, and it's going to use that in order to generate its next response. So that, my friends, is pretty much all there is to making this work. Let's see if we can get this thing to kick off now. And you see it started up. I'm going to try to expand this terminal to take up more space on the screen so that you can see, and we'll say, hello, GPT. I am trying to plan a vacation. Can you help me think of some ways to decide where I should go? And let's see what it says. Here we see the response. Now I did the double new lines in the template, and you can see the double new lines are now respected in here just to give us easier to read blocks. So the response is, of course, what type of vacation are you interested in taking? Do you prefer beach destinations, adventure trips, cultural experiences, or something else entirely? Let's see here. Let's say I would like to go to some mountains. I enjoy hiking and camping in a tent. My budget is somewhat small right now, and I'm thinking of being away for a long weekend, Friday through Sunday. I live in the Southeast United States, and with the short window for the trip, I don't want to travel very far away. All right, let's see what it has to say. So it's processing the input, and it says, mountains are always a great option for a long weekend getaway. Some suggestions that fit your budget and location would be national parks or nearby state parks, such as Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee or the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. You could also consider smaller towns with outdoor recreation, such as Breckenridge in Colorado or Telluride in Colorado. We got a little further away than I would like on those extra suggestions, but overall, those seem pretty good. Tell me more about the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. What are some things to see and do there? And there we get some answers. The model is starting to look through its knowledge, and it finds things such as Brevard or Blowing Rock for shopping and dining options. And then, of course, there's a Blue Ridge Music Festival and an Arts and Crafts Festival. Sounds very interesting. So it's helping me with the problem. And we've all seen this kind of behavior, right? This is what we know LLMs are capable of. The fun part is we were able to build this in just a few minutes. You saw, back up here to the code, I'm on line 14, and that's with nice spacing and things like that. So we're talking about just 10 lines or so of code gets us a working model where we can start to interact. So now I'm going to say quit, and it drops me out of the program. So friends, there you have it. In just a few lines of Python, we're able to build a functioning chatbot. That never ceases to amaze me, just how little code I'm having to write in order to get so much feature content moving. It's a totally different experience from any kind of programming I've done before. And I'm looking forward to expanding on it next week as we start to figure out how to incorporate a data set and create a RAG application. So come back next week and we'll try that out. In the meantime, I really would love to hear from you. What is it that you're building with these tools? Are you trying this out alongside me? Do you see anything interesting? Do you have any great ideas? What is it that's going on in your world? This should be a two-way conversation. I'd like that much better than just sitting here talking to you all day. So I can't wait to see what you build. Throw a link in the chat. Let me see what you've been up to. Send me a repository. We can share PRs or something. It'll be great. Take care, friends, and we'll see you next time.